In this video, you are going to discover things about yourself that you never knew before, and I'm going to give you 6 concrete steps to break free from this addiction once and for all. Look, you have 2 choices right now. Either give me 10 minutes out of your 24-hour day and finally rid yourself of this cycle, or close this video right now. If you leave, I won't promise you'll ever quit. That's on you. Now, imagine a medieval emperor. This man lived for 88 years. He traveled the world, fought in wars, and had access to any woman he desired. Yet in his entire lifetime, that emperor never saw a fraction of the stimulation, variety, and hyper-attractive visuals that an average 12-year-old kid sees today in just 10 minutes on a smartphone. Think about that. Let it sink in. What an emperor couldn't experience in a whole lifetime, you are consuming in 10 minutes without lifting a single finger. Do not try to convince me that this is normal. What this habit and pornography do to your brain is terrifying. Let me explain. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation and reward. People who chase money, status, or relationships are actually chasing the dopamine released when they achieve those things. But when you indulge in this habit, you are exposed to endless variety, shapes, and acts. This intense variety triggers a massive spike in dopamine, a flood so unnatural that nothing in the real world can compete with it. Imagine you live in a house and every single day, a beggar comes to your door and you give him $20. Then one day, for whatever reason, you don't give him anything. He's gonna get angry, right? Because he became entitled to it. The exact same thing happens to your brain. By doing this repeatedly, your brain resets its baseline. It begins to view that massive, unnatural flood of dopamine as the new normal. Now, whenever you try to do anything else in life, like studying, working, or building a relationship, the dopamine release is way lower, so you feel absolutely zero joy or motivation. You become numb. It's like a chain smoker. One cigarette used to be enough. Now a whole pack does nothing. Second, let's talk about psychology. What does your brain naturally know about intimacy? It's supposed to be a private bond between you and another person, but when you constantly watch others through a screen, your brain gets rewired. It literally gets programmed to believe that intimacy is a 3-party event, 2 people participating and you sitting in the corner watching. This causes real-world performance anxiety. When you try to experience reality, your brain gets confused because it's missing the screen, missing the endless scrolling. The result? Total frustration. And the worst part? You start viewing the entire world through a distorted lens. Innocent, everyday situations suddenly get filtered through this addiction. Third, every single time you promise yourself, this is the last time, and then you break that promise, your brain takes notes. It realizes your word has 0 value, and when your own word means nothing to you, your self-esteem dies. Your brain starts labeling you as a failure. You lose your confidence, your drive, and you even start feeling anxious just talking to people. Every single time you give in, you are actively draining your mental strength. Now, pause for a second. Let's analyze this. Is this actually a physical, unstoppable urge, or is it just a ghost in your mind? Your body has core survival needs. Food, water, sleep. Intimacy is a secondary drive. If you were underwater gasping for air, you wouldn't be thinking about this habit. If you hadn't eaten in 3 days, you wouldn't care about it. It only shows up when your primary comfort needs are completely met. So why do you feel this overwhelming urge even when you are busy, tired, or trying to fast and reset? Because you are a victim of the Skinner box. B.F. Skinner was a famous psychologist who placed a pigeon in a box with a button. At first, every time the pigeon pressed the button, food dropped down. The reward was predictable, but then Skinner changed the rules. Sometimes the pigeon had to press it 4 times, sometimes 10 times, sometimes just once. The reward became completely random. Do you know what happened? The pigeon went crazy. It became completely obsessed, pressing the button non-stop, even when it wasn't hungry at all. It became addicted to the uncertainty. This is exactly what happens to you. You scroll. Sometimes you find the video you want instantly. Sometimes you swipe through 40 pages before finding something that triggers you. You are that pigeon, endlessly pressing the button, chasing a random reward. It's not a physical necessity. It's a loop. It's a habit, and you cannot break a habit until you understand how it works. Think about your daily routine. You wake up, check your phone, brush your teeth, go to work or school. You do most of this without even thinking. Studies show that 95% of our daily actions are completely subconscious habits. Your brain does this to save energy. Every single habit consists of 3 distinct stages: the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is the trigger. It's the most important part. Without it, the habit doesn't start. Your cues are usually boredom, stress, loneliness, or scrolling past a specific account on social media. Once the cue is triggered, you perform the routine, the habit itself. And finally, you get the reward, that temporary rush of dopamine followed by immediate regret and relaxation. addition, here is the dangerous part. Repeated habits eventually form your identity. If you work out every day, you identify as an athlete. If you indulge in this habit every day, you start identifying as an addict. Once a habit becomes your identity, it becomes twice as hard to break. And remember the golden rule of behavioral science. You cannot simply eliminate a bad habit. You must replace it with a better one. Step 1. Eliminate the cues and friction. Identify exactly where and when you do this. It's almost always the same room, the same time, the same spot. Change your environment. Unfollow the triggers on social media. Make the path to the habit incredibly difficult. Add massive friction. If it takes major effort to slip up, your brain will choose the path of least resistance and skip it. Step 2. Commit to a complete dopamine detox. Do not say, I'll do it one last time before I start my detox tomorrow. That is a trap. You are just flooding your brain with dopamine one last time and making the next day twice as painful. Stop immediately. Give your brain the time it needs to recalibrate so you can enjoy the simple things in life again. Step 3. Shift your identity. Stop calling yourself an addict. Change the narrative. Start going to the gym, reading, or picking up a sport. Build new positive routines that force your identity to evolve from someone trying to quit into someone who simply doesn't do it anymore. Step 4. Master self-discipline in other areas. Control your diet, your sleep, and your screen time. If you overindulge in junk food and lounge around all day, your brain will naturally demand the ultimate comfort next. Discipline is a muscle. If you train it with your diet and your schedule, it will hold strong when an urge hits. Step 5. Set bigger goals. Do not make quitting this habit the main goal of your life. If you constantly focus on not doing something, you're still obsessed with it. Set massive professional, physical, or spiritual goals. Get so busy building your future that you don't have time to look back. And step 6. Give yourself grace and connect with the higher power. There is an old, profound story about a man who repeatedly struggled with his vices. Every time he failed, people would judge him and condemn him. But the wise teacher looked at them and said, "Do not condemn him, for he truly loves the divine and the truth." This tells us two things. If you don't struggle with this, never look down on someone who does. And if you are struggling, even if you fail 1,000 times, it doesn't mean you are a hopeless person or that the Creator hates you. It means you are human, facing a modern trial. The path to overcoming this is through patience, consistency, and elevating your spiritual state. At the end of the day, neither I nor my videos can save you. The power to change is already within you. Take control.